Victoria, Victoria, Victoria. Why do you have to twist fucking everything? Everything. Do you know that you talk too much or no? Do you know that you contradict one thing 10 minutes later? You're about to see it for yourself. So, let's get into it.
Weird thing. I get into it with a couple of people because they think I'm wrong and I don't think I'm wrong. And lo and behold, I get called in for a random. I mean, the good thing is I know I can pass it, or I know I was going to pass it, no matter what. But good try. And yeah, still winning. Still fucking winning.
First and foremost, I'm gonna feel sorry for you that you think that your life is winning. No, nice try though, because I made it very clear when I first addressed you in my comment section that that is not something I'd agree with. And I have a really hard time believing anything you say because I watch you lie.
I was like, okay, so people, after I said that, people were threatening to call my parole officer that I don't have. And I was like, so let me get this straight. Me calling and making a report because I think somebody could potentially be putting themselves in harm's way, and them coming in and possibly not being in compliance and getting either offered inpatient or a taper is so fucking wrong. But y'all can sit here and say you're gonna call home incarceration, and then if I'm not in compliance, there will be no taper, there will be no inpatient. So make it make sense. How is that okay and that's not?
I could make it make sense. I've never said that. Is that easy enough for you? You see how that goes? You say y'all. Put a fucking address on that. Because it ain't me. That's a fact. So, you keep changing it, okay? Because you said you called to a clinic because you were concerned. Remember? You were concerned, and that's why you called to a clinic. So what you just said doesn't really fit, does it? Because if you were so concerned that she was gonna overdose, 911 would have been the call, not the clinic. And no matter how many times you fucking verbal diarrhea all over the place, that's not gonna change.
And then if I'm not in compliance, there will be no taper, there will be no inpatient. So make it make sense. How is that okay and that's not?
To be honest, it looks like you're going a little far to prove your narrative. And no. Whoever called your whoever is also wrong. So what? You see how simple that is? I don't agree with it if it's anybody. You follow me?
It's something that I could not control. Right? I can make a call all day, every day, just like y'all have done on me 1,005 times. But I am still going to be responsible for those consequences if you make a call on me and I am not in compliance. That's my fault.
I'm going to say it again because you seem to have a hard time understanding. Nobody is saying that you're responsible for Lisa's use. Do you hear me now? Nobody is saying that, okay? What we're saying is that you were out of line for calling the clinic when you were not sure that was happening. And then you made yourself look fucking stupid when you blamed it on so many other things and nothing you said makes sense. Nobody is blaming you for Lisa not being compliant. So stop fucking twisting shit. Also, again, I ain't never called anybody on you, okay? So if you're gonna talk about a group of people, make sure you're fucking specific.
You're not the reason I'm not in compliance. You're the reason that they probably checked to see if I was in compliance.
Oh, so you do get it. Imagine that.
Cold turkey. Which, whatever. I mean, I've done it before and it's not going to matter because I'm not on that much anyway. But, regardless, just the matter of fact. And then you're like, it's overstepping. Like, I just don't get it. But whatever, I don't fucking care.
Maybe you do care because it's all you talk about for fucking 6 hours a day, all right? literally all you talk about all day, every day. So you 1000% care. That's just blaringly obvious. You know what I mean? Again, you could talk about it all day, every day, hours long every day, and it was overstepping. It was not your place. That clinic knows very well what Lisa is doing, and it is not your place to make that phone call, lie about why you're making the phone call, and the fact that you had no substantial proof to make that phone call.
But you literally have tried to defend a murderer. How can you say anything about somebody sticking up for Lisa or helping Lisa? Don't get me wrong. I don't like what's going on either. Please know that. But you stuck up for it. You made excuses for something that has no excuse ever. That is disgusting.
Obviously, I'm not Reaper, right? I'm not fully aware of this situation. However, what I will say is Reaper is not her husband, okay? That's first of all. Second of all, I can promise you that I would rather sit with a murderer than a fucking child abuser. Period. Okay? So you justify the crimes that you've dealt with, right? Reaper didn't commit that crime. Somebody else did. All right. And not to mention the fact none of that was a problem when you were cool with Reaper, right? Yet here you are throwing it all out there. So if you have a problem with it now, why were you not talking about it then? It's a little weird. Just saying.
I didn't say anything negative about that bitch until she came at me.
It's a little weird that in this very live, you say that you can take constructive criticism, right? Reaper came at you. All she said was that it was wrong and she doesn't condone calling the clinic. You turned it into a back and forth. She just made it clear that that was not the type of behavior she was going to condone. You are the one bringing in family members when you have no business to do that, Victoria. Okay? That like you both situations, both me and Reaper, you made it something it didn't have to be, right? You chose to fucking lie about allowing Lisa to use her Cash App. She was screaming it in her live on August 3rd. When I posted it, you lied. Said I took a photoshopped receipt. I'm also going to include a screenshot proving that it's not photoshopped. I thought that you would have got that from the screen recording that I posted that same day, but apparently not. You know what I mean?
The only person I had anything negative to say about was Lisa. And then they started coming after me.
You don't think it was weird that you were talking shit about Lisa publicly and then helping her privately? You don't think that's weird behavior? That's weird behavior. That's like a snake in the grass, right? And now you have made Lisa your entire personality. You talked in this live about comment filters. Why not put Lisa's name in your comment filters if you really don't want to talk about it anymore?
But yeah, for y'all saying, oh, you're not far enough into your recovery to be helping. Do you know my recovery story more than my counselor? Like, honestly, do you know?
I don't need to know your recovery story. You know what I recognize? Patterns of behavior. You know what I do know? Recovery. You know what I have seen? People and patterns of behavior, right? What you're doing right now will not benefit your recovery. I'm not trying to be a bitch. I'm just being honest. Somebody early in recovery needs to focus on themselves. Why? Because you spent years fucking your life up, right? That doesn't get fixed in a year, honey. Just so you know. So, take it as you may, right? I'd take it as a warning if I were you, because you were the hardest type of woman to sponsor. Knows all the answers. Somebody said it in my comment section the other day. Take the cotton out of your ears and stick it in your mouth because you know nothing. And yet you sit on your platform bitching about misinformation while spewing a shit ton of it.
And that's funny because y'all just come in here saying all that shit and don't have no proof of that either.
like you didn't have any proof when you called Lisa's clinic? Just a vengeful idea?
Cindy, every time I try to fucking talk about something else, everybody like, oh, you brought my family into it. Now I'm gonna blah, blah, blah. I don't care. The fact that y'all have to use shit from months, years ago against me to talk shit says a lot.
Girl, I don't have to talk about months or years. I'm talking about you lying 2 weeks ago when I called you out on the Cash App. You forget that? You forget that you did that? I don't have to talk about years. Will I? Yes. Why? Best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, honey. All right? Just so we're 1000% clear here. Okay? Your lives are making you look worse. I don't know if you realize that. All right? But I could talk about very current things that you're doing or saying that will shatter your entire schema of yourself, because clearly you think much higher of yourself than like the average person does. But just like as a just as a like yikes, right? Didn't Reaper's husband commit that crime like 20 years ago? You don't realize you do this, do you? Like, you constantly contradict yourself. You're sitting there saying that people can't talk about things you did months ago or a year ago to try to shame you, but you're trying to shame Reaper for her husband's crime committed 20 years ago. You can't make this shit up, y'all.
I don't know you. Don't want to know you. Don't know your family. So how can I bring them into anything except for your murderer husband? That's the only person I said anything about that's in your family.
Who's gonna tell her? Who's gonna tell her?
But a lot of y'all are saying, oh, Victoria's doing this for attention, blah, 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 right? But yet y'all are over in somebody else's live that's talking shit about me for attention, doing a deep dive on me for attention.
Oh, baby, don't get it twisted. That's not why I'm doing the deep dive on you. I'm doing the deep dive on you because you fucking lied. And then you didn't take accountability for said lie. You missed that? You just can't admit that part? You can't admit that part? You just like glazed over the fact that you were helping Lisa and letting her use the Cash App? What? Let me ask you a question. How come you haven't called Cash App, right? The way you called PayPal and the way you called the electric company, the methadone clinic. How come you haven't called them to figure out how Lisa got into your account? Just wondering. You know what I mean? Just questions. And I know people like you, they don't like questions. And that's why you're acting the way you are. Just so you know.
I would be so fucking surprised. So fucking surprised if I and my buddy came out with absolutely everything we know.
I don't think anybody would be surprised at all. I think that Lisa's predictable, as are you, right? I think that there's a lot of people that would feel the same way about you, right? Ex-mods, ex-friends, who you told you'd pay back, right? All of that comes into play. Cups that you allegedly sold the same cup multiple times and cups weren't received. I don't know, call me crazy. I'd be focused on paying those people back to make amends for my wrongs, right? But you're too focused on Lisa. One of those things that's gonna bite you in the ass.
But yeah, again, so yes, y'all called. I could have sat here all day long if I would have got put back in jail and been like, if y'all wouldn't have called. No, y'all called. I went in, I took my UA, and it was good. Just like I knew it would be.
Again, y'all. Nope, not y'all. Because trust me, if I was gonna report you to anybody, it would be for your involvement in crimes while you're on house arrest. But I even said I wouldn't do that. So I really have a hard time believing anything you say at this point, to be completely honest, but that's because you talk in circles.
You think all these randoms help your recovery? They're holding me accountable, so it's not helping or hurting, I don't think.
You know what's a lot more respectful? Holding yourself accountable. And you don't do that very well. You don't do that very well. And there is like zero integrity anywhere around there. So there's that.
What does that mean? We keep what we have by giving it away.
If you had a sponsor, you'd know.
You turn early in your recovery to be a sponsor, and I'm not trying to be a sponsor at all. I just advocate for what I believe is right, regardless.
You think it was right to let Lisa use your Cash App and so she could scam people and support her drug habit? Do you think that was right? And thank God you're not trying to be a sponsor, because when it comes to any type of recovery, you know there's a difference between being clean and being like recovered or abstinent. Let me use abstinent. You know there's a difference between being abstinent and practicing recovery, right?
But clinics work off of a federal mandate. You have to, if you miss 3 doses, if you miss 3 days, you have to be reassessed by the doctor.
Also misinformation, just so you know. Clinics are regulated, OTPs, I'll use that phrase, right? They're regulated by SAMHSA, right? Like, sort of like OSHA, right? Doctors, states, the physicians inside the OTP, which would be a methadone clinic, right, is what dictates. There are guidelines, there are federal guidelines, okay, but there's no mandations. Is that clear? Each clinic can set their own framework, I'll say, right? Like, there's no, I'm trying to explain it to somebody who clearly doesn't understand the medication that they're on and how it works, right? So because of the half-life that methadone has, if you miss doses, it could fuck you up. So you have to be evaluated by a physician, and that dose has to be titrated according to the days that you miss. You follow me? Also include some screenshots because, gosh, Victoria.
A spot that they have a bald spot where they pass the hair follicle.
Sweetheart, I'm a real junkie. That's not a flex to me because hair tests can be beaten, right? Blood tests only. That's the only thing that I would trust because every test can be manipulated.
The rules are, we have one certain day that we are allowed to go to the store without asking for 2 hours on one day.
Just out of curiosity, how many take-homes do you get? I haven't heard you say, and if you've been on methadone for a while, you should be getting take-homes, right? Clean urines every 3 months, monitored urine, they'll give you a take-home. So how many take-homes are you getting at this present time?
How do take-homes work? So Again, I think it's different a little bit. And I was also looking that up. I didn't realize that it was federally mandated because, everybody was jumping my ass saying that my phone call could have got her kicked out or whatever, right? It's federally mandated that they have to try to reasonably work with you, by the way.
Did you guys get those screenshots? Do I need to go through that again? States typically set those tones. But also, no. Working with you would be considered an admin taper. Administrative taper, which is a suicide taper, not SSI, suicide, right? Because you want to kill your fucking self. Okay? That's what we said. Lisa is not strong enough to handle a taper forced on her. Therefore, she would go buy methadone. Let me make it clear. Methadone is holding back her use right now. Do you understand that? Without methadone, she'd use more. You follow me?
Everything. August 4th, over $400. I want to say it was $410. Where's my papers? $441. And the day before, $318.
On the Cash App of yours that she was using, that you will now be taxed on that money. How are you going to let Lisa play you? How are you going to let Lisa play you? You let her use your Cash App, and you are now liable for the money that came into that Cash App. Girl.